Hey there! Who's here? This is not a regular class. We've got it's a week off. So we don't have we normally wouldn't have a lesson, but I decided, you know what? Why? Why can't we just do another lesson today? I mean, why not? I'm an adult. I can do what I want. And what I want is, we're going to do a review of a topic I've taught before. I've done a live stream about it before back in 2019, but I haven't mentioned it since. I've done a couple like regular videos here and there that mention it, but I thought, you know what? It's really important, and I've seen a lot of people misuse it over the past 6 years since I did that last live class. Gosh, it's been 6 years ago. That was a long time ago. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people misuse it, so I thought, let's just do a review of it. I think that would be helpful. Let's see who's here right now. Cosma, welcome. Keith, these are two names I recognize right away. And then if I don't recognize your name after that, I apologize. I'm still trying to learn the new name system that YouTube made. I'm just going to see the usernames. Yoon, East Coast Homestead, Cat Memes, Natalie, and Kimia. Welcome. People are asking about Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I had a good Thanksgiving. I actually had 2 Thanksgivings this year. I went to one with my mom and my grandma, and we just had Thanksgiving food, and it was really good. You know, traditional, all that stuff, turkey, everything. But then the next day after that, my brother, who lives in a different city, I went up to my brother's house the very next day, so Friday, and did a second Thanksgiving with different people. That was fun too. So I had Thanksgiving food, different Thanksgiving food, but still, twice in a row. Yeah, it was nice. I mean, I really like Thanksgiving food, but what I dislike about Thanksgiving every year is just the travel that's involved. I don't know. I mean, fortunately, I don't have to go that far, but you just have to a couple extra hours of driving and getting ready and, bringing all the stuff, making sure the food stays hot on the way there. You get there. Oh, hello, everyone. Give everyone a hug, sit down, got to get all nice and organized, get your stuff on your plate, and you're done eating in 5 minutes. And then you're just sitting there uncomfortably full. You forgot there's pie. There's pumpkin pie and there was pecan pie. Oh man, but you got to eat those too. You have to. That's the rule. If anyone's not American, they're wondering about Thanksgiving. There's a law actually. A law was passed. I think it was the Turkey Act of 1873. I can't remember the year. I'm sorry if I can't remember that, but it's after you finish the main course, you're required by law to have at least a slice of pie and ice cream as well. If you're under the age of over the age of 15, I think. Yeah, I can't remember the law exactly, but something like that. So legally I had to, or else I would be cited. So yeah, I had pie, and then you're super full and you got to drive back home, and now you're exhausted from the trip. You're exhausted from the whole thing. And it's you know what? It would have just been more relaxing. Just stay at home and, microwave something or just make a pizza or something. So, that's the only part I dislike about Thanksgiving. Kinner, love the podcast. Thank you. I've got some more coming up. The first episode is the first episode. So you'll see some changes as it gets more refined, as I figure out what sorts of things do we want to be talking about and getting some new topic ideas. But yeah, the first 3 episodes you'll see back to back. So next Thursday, I think Thursday, actually, this Thursday, you'll get episode 2, and then you'll get episode 3 the week after that. And then following that, it's going to be a bi-weekly podcast, and hopefully it can go on for a very long time, and we'll have lots of interesting topics. There's a lot of things I want to cover. I have about 12 ideas prepared already for next episodes that I'm interested in talking about. So it'll be fun. Natalie says, I still have leftovers. Fortunately, most of my family is local. Leftovers are the best part of Thanksgiving, I think. The food is good, obviously, but when you're eating the food at least when I'm eating the food with my family, you're distracted, right? You want to talk with your family. You're not just there to eat, you're there to hang out with other family members. You talk with them, you see a friend. Oh, hey, how's it been? Tell me about this. Watch a video on TV together. We watched Ernest Saves Christmas. Ernest Saves Christmas. First time I actually saw that movie completely. I saw like parts of it as a kid growing up. Like it would be on TV sometimes late at night. Be like, Ernest Saves Christmas tonight at 1 a.m. on the whatever channel. Like I'm not going to stay up to watch that. But we finally watched it together. That movie's horrible. But the funny thing is, I mean, it's watchable. It's funny, but it's also bad. It's more bad that it was good, but it was still enjoyable. The funny thing is, I swear that movie was filmed in 2 locations. Like they had a couple outside shots to establish that they were in Orlando, Florida. But besides that, they filmed most of it in this soundstage they dressed up to look like a warehouse where all the reindeer are being kept. There's like probably 20 minutes of the movie is just B-roll, like extra footage filmed in this soundstage that's like a warehouse with 2 workers in it. And then the rest of the movie is just filmed in a like on one street in a city. And then they have some other shots that are also clearly shot at the same filming studio they filmed the warehouse at. There's like the same like metal on the walls and stuff like that. It's so low budget. It's so bad. Anyway, 3 out of 5. Not too bad. Yeah, we haven't talked more about food. A hi from the checkout line at Whole Foods, says Alex. Welcome. I spend most of the day gaming at Starbucks. Okay, that sounds nice. What movie are we talking about? We were talking about one of the most classic and well-known, high-budget, feel-good, classic family Christmas movies, Ernest Saves Christmas. I had never seen the whole thing through, and I really wasn't missing too much, honestly. Everyone says like, "Oh, it's a classic. You got to see it. I can't believe you've never seen this movie." And then you watch normally when someone talks about a movie like that, and you'll watch it, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, wow, that's great. I can't believe I skipped that." This was not one of those movies. This is like a glad I missed it sort of movie. Basically, Santa is old and retiring. The actor is the guy who did the voice of the Sultan in the original Aladdin animated movie. He's basically the same character. I see why they made the Sultan like that. But anyway, so he's Santa Claus, but he's got to retire. He has to find a new Santa Claus. But he gets arrested for thinking that he's Santa Claus somehow, I guess. And Ernest has to help him find the Santa Claus that he needs to replace him. That's the storyline. Hey there, Vern. I binged Stranger Things. I'm glad there will be more episodes coming at the end of December. I've never seen that show. Is that actually good? I heard someone say something like, it's good until the something season, like fourth season or something. Is that correct? Is it like going downhill, or did it just have one bad season and then it got better? Ernest doesn't hold up that great. Yeah. Oh, and anyone who's coming in right now, we are not an Ernest podcast. This is not an Ernest live stream. This is a Korean. We're going to do some Korean grammar review pretty soon. We'll start right at the top of the hour. Jack Tilley says, I've been married for a few years to a Korean woman. I've been trying to learn Korean seriously the past few weeks. Oh, so like super beginner, brand new. Welcome. Your videos have helped me a lot with my relationship with my wife. Nice. Every Christmas they play Home Alone on TV. Yeah, I like Home Alone. I guess I don't know. I think Home Alone's like a pretty fun movie. It's pretty decent, like classic Christmas movie. Although it doesn't really have that much to do with Christmas, I would say. Besides, the one thing that it does is that Christmas is important to spend with your family. But it also, at the same time, talks against that. It actually, the message of the movie is like, he hates his family. They're all so mean to him. Everyone hates him, but the mom cares about him. That's pretty much it. It's like no one else likes Kevin. Kevin hates everyone as well, but the mom likes Kevin. So I think it's more of like, Kevin doesn't really learn much of a lesson in Home Alone at all. It's more like the mom learns that she is not caring enough about each of her kids. I think that's pretty much it. Besides that, it's just a fun movie, but I really don't think Home Alone is a great Christmas movie. It's just a good movie. And really, the actor who plays Marv, I can't remember that. I can't remember his name right now. I know Joe Pesci, but those two I think really carry the movie more than anyone else. I haven't watched Home Alone this year. My go-to Christmas movie every year is Jingle All the Way. That is actually, I think, a much better Christmas movie. Not better movie, but better Christmas movie than Home Alone. So I would put Jingle All the Way on somewhere in my top 3, maybe number 3 of my top Christmas movies that I like. Just because I think it has such a good Christmas message, even though it's a really stupid movie. Number 1, though, obviously, if anyone has seen this, you'll agree, it's Muppet Christmas Carol. That's obviously the number 1 Christmas movie ever made. You might argue that, oh, there's this other Christmas movie that comes. No, it's Muppets is number 1. It's not even close. Yeah, Mike, I said there is no live class today. That's true. I don't have an outline and a worksheet, although I did make an outline for this, but it's not a regular class. We're just going to do some review. A review of a topic that I keep seeing people mess up, and it bugs me on a deep level. It just, every time I see it, I'm like, I think we need to do a review of this. I can help them. I can fix them. A Boy Called Christmas is a cute family Christmas movie. I've never actually heard of that one. Huh. Okay, I'm going to try to catch up with the comments a little bit. In Poland, Home Alone's a classic. It's a classic in the US too. I think it's a classic everywhere. It's a classic in Korea as well. Na Holochibe. Everyone knows that movie. Tom also, welcome. The Park Lady likes Kevin. That's true, but that's Home Alone 2. Home Alone 2 is a different movie. Home Alone 2 actually has more of a, actually, I was going to say it has more of a Christmas message, but thinking about it, it features Christmas more than Home Alone 1 because he goes to New York, he deals with like buying toys, he saves the toy store, he helps the lady with the turtle doves, right? The first movie, he does help the homeless guy, or no, is he actually homeless in the end? I actually can't remember if he was homeless. I just remember the beginning and the very end of it. But the guy with the shovel, he helps him kind of reconnect with his family. So I guess that's the nice part about it. But yeah, I don't know. And then the second one does have Tim Curry. So I might have to put the second above the first because of that, because Tim Curry is the star of the second movie. But yeah, that's true. The Park Lady does like Kevin. Very good actress as well. Not a Christmas movie, but I saw Bugonia. I've never heard of it. Daniel Stern. That's right. Yeah, Daniel Stern is Marv. He's great. He's so good. That scream he does. The day after Anigo lesson, I said I heard it while watching Captivating the King. Okay, cool. Yeah, you're going to hear it everywhere. It's super common. I saw somewhere recently said the actor of Home Alone said his kids don't know that he's Kevin. I doubt that. No, that's got to be fake. Macaulay Culkin's kids don't know that he's Kevin? Come on. Like Michael Jackson's kids didn't know he was Michael. No, I'm sure that they know. It's possible that people wouldn't recognize him. I think I know what you're talking about. I did watch a video where he mentioned that his kids didn't recognize him right away when he had finally shown them to his kids. I take it back. You're kind of correct in what you say. They didn't, not that they didn't know him, but when he finally showed it to them, they didn't recognize that it was him and he had to point it out. So that's fair enough. That's fair. But like growing up later, like as how old they are right now, there's no way they wouldn't know that, you know, that it's him. Elf and Christmas Story. Okay, Elf, I wasn't a fan, but it was pretty funny. Christmas Story, I hate, but I understand why it's such a classic. And I quote stuff from that movie all the time. It's fragile. You know, you'll shoot your eye out. All of these like classic quotes from it. But the movie itself, I almost hate it because it's just so cringy and hard to watch. It's also so classic at the same time. I guess it's a love-hate relationship. Christmas Hallmark, yeah. How do I print out the outline? There is no outline for this. This is not a regular class. This is we're going to do a review class today. Home Alone is sadly not a classic here in Hungary. Oh, okay. Interesting. Do you also speak other languages? Not well enough to teach. Tim Curry's awesome, but Scrooged is my favorite Christmas movie. Bill Murray, Scrooged? I wasn't a big Bill Murray fan, although I have seen like all of his movies. Um, Scrooged, it's okay. I just feel like all of the Scrooge movies, all of those Christmas Carol movies get overshadowed by the Muppets Christmas Carol. Like it's so good that it makes all the other ones just look like trash in comparison. Almost all of them. Now there are some really good ones. Oh gosh, some of the older ones are like really good too. Even the one with Jim Carrey, the animated one that came out like 2010 I think or something, that was also okay. It was a bit creepy, the animation, but they really like went faithful to the book a lot more. But I think if you have any Scrooge story, they're all like okay. Like you could get the worst cast, you could get like the worst script and the worst directing and put them all together, but that story is just so good and classic. You're going to end up with something special anyway. Like the kids not knowing their mom is London Tipton. I think Elf was the only Christmas movie that made a top list. Interesting. Have you ever had any students who are learning Korean who got into Hanyang Kong? Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can go to any of those universities if you apply. Yeah, I know people who go to various Korean universities. It's not, if you're applying as a foreigner, you're not a Korean, you're applying to a Korean university, you can get in fairly easily. You just have to be able to pay the entry for it because you're not applying, you don't have Korean grades to apply anyway. You're just going to be applying to their Korean program, which is not the same as going there as an actual Korean student, which you would have to, study really hard for and get really good grades on the test. If you're just going there to study Korean, it's a separate program for the university. It's not going to be rigorous to get it. It's not going to be difficult to get in. You just have to be able to pay for it. I have a Swedish Christmas movie I really like. I'm not going to read it since I could see the English, but that sounds kind of funny. Groundhog Day is great. Okay. Yeah, I see why you're going to say it's a Christmas movie. That's a Christmas movie in the same way Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie. It happens in Christmas, just like Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It happens around Christmas, therefore it's a Christmas movie. We put Christmas in the setting. It's Christmas. It doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. No, I don't think it counts. I think in order for a movie to be a Christmas movie, not only does it have to happen around Christmas, but it has to have it has to have something that is centered around specifically Christmas, that you could not replace it with another holiday. If you were to replace it with another holiday, the movie wouldn't work. That's a Christmas movie. You can't just say like, oh, it's a Christmas movie because he's got to get home to be with his family. I'm like, you could say Thanksgiving. It's not a Christmas movie. But like giving gifts, like trying to get a present for someone, that counts because, give gifts at Christmas or whatever. Although I guess Hanukkah would also count too. Interesting. We'll get started with our review in just a few minutes. For anyone wondering why we're talking about B movies. Okay, any other questions before we get started with today's review? Again, it's not a regular class. We don't have an outline or a worksheet for today. I mean, I do, but you can't have it. This one's mine. But we're just going to be doing a review of a topic that, it kind of bugs me because I see a lot of people mess it up, and I feel responsible for that. I think I can help. So yeah, any other last questions before we get started, and then we'll get into the lesson. Let's see. Is this marker finally dying? I think this marker's dying. I think I'm going to get rid of this marker. Yay! I finally get to throw away the red one. I didn't like the red one anyway because you have to be careful what you write with it in Korean. If I want to study at a university in Korea in Korean as a foreigner, they don't take into account my grades because you would not be going there as a regular student. Most likely you would be going, unless you're already living in Korea. If you're not living in Korea in the first place, like they wouldn't have any grades to take in the first place. They will take your transcript. They'll want to know your transcript from your home university or wherever you're going from. But most likely is you're not going to be going into the university as a student studying stuff at the university unless you were already living in Korea and you had studied there prior to apply as a regular student. You would be applying to a separate foreigner program for learning specifically tailored for Korean learners. Like you wouldn't get into a Korean university if you don't already speak Korean, because what are they going to just give you regular Korean classes when you don't understand Korean yet? They're going to give you a separate course. So you're going to have a separate, like if you apply, say you want to go to Yonsei University. Oh, Yonsei is great. All Koreans go there. You get accepted. Cool. You're not actually going to Yonsei. You're going to Yonsei's foreign language program for Korean learners. So it's the Korean language program at Yonsei. It has nothing to do with Yonsei. It's not even operated by them. It's just attached to there. So it's located close by, but it's a separate thing. So that's what you'd probably do if you were going to Korea to study Korean. If you already speak Korean, you already live in Korea, then you could apply, to go into a program as a student, but you would already need Korean to do that, or else you wouldn't make it through the first day. They'd hand out their syllabus in class and you wouldn't be able to read it and you'd fail the class right away. The Holiday is my favorite modern classic. I've never heard of it. Why do you have to be careful with red? Because you don't want to write someone's name in red. That's pretty much it, though. Not that you can't, but if you do it, it's a little bit rude. It's where you would only put someone who's passed away, their name in red in certain situations too, not even normally. So if I write a person's name in red just because I'm writing an example sentence and someone's name's in there, it's kind of like a little bit weird. It's not terrible because, I'm just doing it as a teacher. I'm just giving you an example sentence. But I'd rather not use red. So just to be safe, I don't like using red for writing any of the example sentences. So we're just going to be doing a review today. It's not going to be a full lesson because I've actually taught this form before in 2019. I teach it in my Korean Sentences Made Simple course, which just came out earlier this year. I teach it in the Conversation course, which came out last year. I teach it, you can find it in my books as well. It's everywhere. But I feel like I see a lot of people mess this up, and it actually bothers me because I think it's not as hard as it should be. I mean, it's not as hard. Gonna make it hard. It's gonna be the most difficult form ever. You thought it was easy? Not anymore. I feel like it's thought of as harder than it should be, is what I wanted to say. And we're gonna be doing two forms, Tenika and Tende. And we're gonna start with Tenika. And this is more of an open lesson, so I have just 4 sentences for each form. I recommend taking some notes, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So this is not like in-depth, but it's kind of a review. So this form, Tenika, the way you make it, you take a verb stem and you attach, pretty much you're attaching like the object marker is what you can kind of think. It's not the object marker, but it works kind of like that. You attach if it ends in a consonant, or just a lir if it ends in a vowel, or if it ends with the consonant lir, you'll also just leave it alone. So like the verb 살다, to live, you just get 살, like that. You don't get 살 or anything like that. And then you attach tenika. That's all you need to know to make it. So what is this form? Well, this form is a combination of 2 other forms. And if you know these other forms, it'll be a lot easier. If you already know this form, it'll be easier to use tenika. But first of all, you need to know already how to use the unika form. That's the because, one of the because forms. Now, there are some things you need to know about unika. You might already know these. I'll just go over them really quickly. If you're saying something because and you're using unika, so like unika after a consonant or nika after a vowel, usually this is just to express the reason for something. And often this can be followed by saying like, because of this, and then give a command to someone. You should do this. Or how about we do this? Because it's going to rain today. Bring an umbrella. So if you wanted to tell someone like, because of something, you should do something, or because of something, do it, or because of something, don't do it. Like if you want to suggest something to someone because of a reason, this is the form that you would normally use. So it just means because though. But Yeah. So if you wanted to have a command in your sentence and you're saying, I want you to do this because it's going to be this form. It's not going to be the other form for because, which is sol, which cannot do that. And I've done other lessons about how those are different. But anyway, so this is a combination of unika, which means because. So I'll just write that here. Plus this word tall. Has anyone seen tall before? The correct answer is no. You've never seen tall before because it's not used anymore. Tall is an unused nowadays. It's pretty unused. You might see it in like old writing, old speech actually. But tall is a word that means a plan, like an expectation. So expectation, that's like kind of saying, I expect that they will do something. Kind of like that. Or I'm planning, I'm expecting that they're going to do something. That's what I expect, is kind of what this means. So, because I expect, verb stem, something like that. Now, this here, you don't really need to know this. This is a bit of an advanced note, but anytime you see this sort of form where it's the or a lir attached to a verb stem, what this actually does is immediately makes that into a future tense. So anywhere you see this used in all of Korean grammar, if you see this, it means that's a future tense form. It's a little shortcut. So we have the meaning of here, because I expect something will, verb. So if this is hada, like hada, to do, 할 테니까, because I expect that someone will do something, 공부할 테니까, someone will study. I'm expecting that someone's going to study something. So therefore, because of that is what this form means. Literally, that's what this form is. And that meaning guides the uses of this form. It is used for making an assumption about the future and for giving a reason for that. And for giving a reason for that. Let me just check the chat really quick. Make sure I'm not missing anything. If I already have a TOPIK and apply as a foreigner, then could I be accepted into the regular school curriculum? No. You would have to ask someone who's done that before, because I'm not sure whether they care about the TOPIK score specifically. I know they care about the TOPIK score for things like application for living in Korea. If you aren't married to a Korean or you have a different visa, then you do need a TOPIK score in order to apply to stay in Korea by yourself as a foreigner. They might require it at school as well to attend school if you don't already have a visa to live in Korea. But it wouldn't hurt. Okay, so basically, something will happen, or something, if this is a descriptive verb, like let's say to be cold, 춥다, 추울 테니까, because it will be cold, future tense, because it will be cold. So I assume, because it will be cold, what could follow in that sentence? Before I give you actually any example sentences, or a more natural way to translate this, which there is, I want you to think, what could go at the end of this that I just gave you? Because I assume that it will be cold tomorrow, what could you finish that sentence with in English? You could write it if you want in the chat, or just think about it. What you're thinking, though, is exactly how this form is used, because that's what it is literally. Now, there's a nicer way to translate this. I'll give you in a second, but let's see what people are saying. So because I assume it's going to be cold today, again, will be, because I assume it's going to be cold today, you'll need a coat, yeah? I'll wear a coat. I need to wear a thick jacket or something. You have to find a jacket. You have to find a coat. Okay, Valeria has a good example. Because it's going to be cold, at least wear a scarf. Okay? Okay, yeah, pretty much. So, something's going to happen, I assume, is what you're saying. So therefore, so you see, something's going to happen. Therefore is what you're saying. There is another way you could translate this, though. I think that might be a little easier. Yeah, that red's bad. It just doesn't want to erase either. Okay, well, that's okay. It's in the trash now. Oops. So, I'm sure. Now, I said it means I assume, but in English, I assume is it's not used that frequently. I'm sure is really what it means. Obviously, you're not 100% sure, but oh, I'm sure it must be, right? If you say, oh, I'm sure they'll like it, you're not actually 100% sure. You're like, I think they will, right? I'm sure they will. So in that way, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that it's going to be cold today, so wear a jacket. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people there. I'm sure it's going to snow. So be careful. I'm sure that, I'm going to do it. So you can go along first. I'll take care of it, okay? I'm sure I'm going to take care of it. Sure, I'll take care of it. Like that. I'm sure that, or sure, I will. Like that sort of sure, like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, of course. Like that sort of assuming. So I'm going to do something or something's going to happen. Therefore, whatever. That's what Tenika means. You're making an assumption about the future and then you're giving some sort of reason. So, another way you can think about this is actually just thinking of it as like, I think. So, I think that it'll be cold today, so wear a coat. I think that it'll be, I think that, let's see what's something I can do. Yeah, I think that I'm going to be doing that. I think that I'll be taking care of that, so you can go first. Any sort of thing like that. Again, it doesn't mean think. It doesn't mean you're sure, really. It means you're assuming. But naturally in English, you can kind of think of it as like that. Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. So don't worry about that. I think there are going to be a lot of people there. Oh, yeah, be careful. I think it's going to snow, so you don't want to slip, so be careful. I think it's going to be cold. Wear a jacket. That sort of meaning. So let me give you some example sentences. Oh, the example sentences I'm giving you, since this is more of a review, I'm going to give you some example sentences that come from my new Korean sentences made simple, my sentence connector course that I released. It's free on my channel. There are 20 episodes. It goes over like 170 sentence connectors, something like that, and like 1,400 sentences. I'm going to be taking a few from that course. Okay. 제가 할 테니까. So the verb here is 하다, to do. So 할 테니까. So yeah, I'm sure I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Sure, I'm going to do it. So therefore, 먼저 means first, like before other people. 먼저 가세요. So yeah, you go first. I'll take care of it, so you go first. 제가 할 테니까. So I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm assuming I'm going to be doing it, so you can go first. Like that. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be taking care of it. You go first. Okay, I have 3 more sentences. I'll wait a minute and then I'll give you the next one. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to do it so you can go. Again, what makes this form unique Although here, like I said, that's just future tense. So this is just future tense will do because, Tenika, the only thing that really makes this form unique is the te part. Before I go on, though, I do want to mention a couple things. I said the word was tall, but how do you get te? The reason is because tall is not used by itself. Originally, tall is the word that means, so I should preface this. This is for advanced people. If you're curious about why it's te, if you're a beginner learning this for your first time, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know this. I wouldn't need to know this if I were you. But anyway, it's because it comes from tall and ida, to be tall, which is it kind of works like koshida. Koshida is like to be, literally to be a thing that will do something. If you're saying 할 거예요, 할 겁니다, like that. Like I am someone that will do this is what you're literally saying. 터 is a plan, like I said, expectation. So it is the expectation that I will do this is what you're saying. 터 plus ida. Now we attach 으니까, because you can't attach 으니까 to a noun. You can't attach 으니까 to 터. That would you get 터 으니까. You can't do that. 으니까 attaches to a verb stem, so the verb is 이. So you attach 이 and you get 니까, like that. 터, 이 combines. Literally, these combine like this, funnily enough. You remove the blank sound, and then this moves over. And this might sound like it's really stupid, but actually this is what happens in a lot of words, were created this way. Hey, but if you just think of it, toy. The sound is kind of similar and it tends to combine in a lot of words. You get te. So it's toi니까, tenika, like that. Anyway, tenika. So that's where it comes from. It's just to이다 plus 으니까, to이니까, tenika. The other thing I wanted to tell you, anyway, you don't need to know that. Promptly erase that from your memory. The other thing is it's tenika, but 으니까 is actually not the complete form. You actually could just use 으니. The 가 at the end is optional. 으니까 and 으니 are actually the same form. The difference is, however, 가 is added most of the time in everyday speech. So you might see 테니. 제가 할 테니. So what is that? Same thing, same meaning. The only difference is if you don't add it, it has a little bit more of a written feeling, a little bit fancier. Fancy might be a good word. A little bit more like proper, like since I shall do that, instead of saying I'm going to do it. It's like I will do it versus I'll do it. So it's a little bit more of a spoken feel to add ga. It's not like less polite or rude or anything or casual. It's fine. But if you wanted to be like formal, if you wanted to speak like extra formally, you're giving a speech, you probably want to use 테니. Or if you're writing something, you want it to be like a really proper example sentence. You're writing an essay, 테니, like that. But the reason I'm telling you this is not to blow up your brain. It's because, well, at least when I know where something's from, it makes more sense when I learn about like the exceptions. Like now since I know that it's just from those two. Oh, now I'm not so confused if I see it in this form. Or what if I see like someone crazily wrote to이니까? Well, I would know immediately what they're trying to do. They're just exploding it back out and writing it the older way. So that's why I think it's kind of important. So you don't just learn exactly this one way it can be used, but now you know any version you might see of this form in the future. Okay. Let's see here. Remember hearing 테니 in some ballad? Yeah, you're going to hear it in songs. Is this one of the few examples where spoken is longer than written? It's not always the opposite. It's actually the other way. Spoken is usually longer than written in Korean for a lot of the grammar forms. Even the most common one I can think of, 가지고, is way longer. It's 3 syllables versus the written one, 서, which is 1 syllable. There there are some slang expressions where Koreans like to shorten words for fun. Like if you have to repeatedly say a long, like especially like a name of something, you have to repeatedly say the name of something or repeatedly say a slang expression. They tend to shorten those for fun. But the grammar forms themselves, there are a lot of grammar forms that are longer than the more formal versions that are like spoken versions. Okay. 밥은, so the meal, literally cooked rice, but that means a meal because cooked rice is a meal in traditional Korean food. That is your meal, and you get the side dishes with it. So 밥은, so as for the meal, 제가 살 테니까, so 사다, to buy, 살 테니까. So, I'm assuming I'm going to buy the meal. Therefore, you 디저트를 사주세요. Buy me dessert. 사다, 사주세요. Please buy dessert, because I'm going to buy the meal. So, I'm going to be buying the meal, I assume, so you buy the dessert. You buy the dessert. I got the meal and you got the dessert, is what it means. You're not just saying, I will be buying the meal today, so therefore you will buy the dessert. You're not literally saying, I am going to buy the meal. You're making an assumption. You're like, well, I guess I'm getting the meal today, so you buy the dessert. Remember, like, I think I'm buying the meal today might work. I guess, because a guess is an assumption. Yeah, I assume I'm buying the meal today, but in English, we do things a little bit weirder. We might use a specific version of it, like guess or think or assume, or sure, I'm sure I'll do that. Depending on the type of verb in Korean, we might translate it differently. But it's all the same thing. In this sentence, I think I might say, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'm buying the meal, so you buy the dessert. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna buy the meal today, so you get the dessert, is what it means. 밥은 제가 살 테니까 디저트를 사주세요. Okay. In fact, as soon as you say 테니까, the listener is going to know that you're going to tell them to do something, or like suggest, let's do something, because it's like, hey, well, I guess that this is happening. So, well, they know. Why else would you say that other than to tell them to do something? Like, yeah, I guess I'm going to do it. Our last sentence we had, I guess I'm doing it. So, they're going to tell me to do something. 먼저 가세요. Oh, that's right. They're telling me I can go first. Okay, cool. 네. 밥은 제가 살 테니까. So like, I guess I'm buying the meal today. They know, before you even say it, they know that you're going to imply that they do something for you because, yeah, I guess I'm buying lunch today. So like, what's coming after that? Like, you can feel it coming. Some sort of request is going to come after that. So they have that feeling too. As soon as they hear Tenika, they know that some sort of request is going to come after that. Just because it's always used that way. I'll show you again. Let's do one more. Oops. What the heck did I do? I started writing this part at the bottom of here, and then it just like messed up everything. Okay. 많이 춥다, to be cold. 많이 추울 테니까. I guess it's going to be really cold today, so what could come after that? What could come after that? I guess it's going to be really cold today, so it's going to be some sort of like a warning or like a suggestion or a command, like you're telling him to do something, or how about you do something, or you should really do this, right? You can already feel that coming. And what it is 조심하세요, be careful. 많이 추울 테니까 조심하세요. So, hey, it's really cold today. I guess it's going to be really cold today, so be careful. Or, I assume it's going to be very cold today, so be careful. Or, I think it's going to be really cold today, so be careful. Or, I'm sure it's going to be really cold today, so be careful. Like any of those ways you want to translate it is fine. I guess could work, but remember, it's not really you thinking, I guess, I'm not sure. It's not really that. It's like, this is what I think. This is my assumption. I'm really assuming it. But in English, we like to translate that into various ways. Anyway, 많이 추울 테니까 조심하세요. I guess it's going to be really cold today, so be careful. You don't want to freeze like that. Okay, I'm going to do one more example. This was like one of the hardest grammar forms for me when I was first learning Korean, because I remember it wasn't in my grammar book that I had. I had like a beginning grammar book. It wasn't in there. And I kept hearing people say it, and I kept getting it confused with just saying the regular future tense. Like, what are they saying? But like, I started to understand it from hearing it used a lot. And then eventually later, like, I don't know, probably a couple of years after I started learning Korean, maybe, no, not that long, at least a year after I started learning Korean, finally found like a lesson on it and learned, oh, it's for assumptions. But like, I had already learned it, that it meant that just from hearing it so many times. But yeah, anyway, this is pretty much all it is. Okay. 다 is everything. 알다. So to know everything. In this case, since it already ends with a lir, you don't add a lir again. You just cut off the ta. So you get 알 테니까. So I'm sure you already know everything. This sentence, I think, I'm sure works well. You could still say though, I guess you already know everything. So, or I'm sure you know everything. So either one of those. It doesn't have to be followed with a command, but it could be. But in this case, we're saying 설명하다, to explain. 설명하지 않다, to not explain. So 설명하지 않을게요. I'm not going to explain it to you because I'm sure you already know everything, is what it means. 다 알 테니까 설명하지 않을게요. So you probably already know everything, so I'm not going to explain it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you already know everything. I'm not going to explain it, is what this means. 다 알 테니까. I guess you know everything, or I guess you'll already know everything, so I'm not going to explain it. I don't want to bother you with it. I'm sure you already know everything. 다 알 테니까 설명하지 않을게요. Again, it's an assumption. It's a guess. It's what you think. Like, you're pretty sure, but you're not 100% sure. You're pretty sure. 다 알 테니까 설명하지 않을게요. So, I'm sure you already know it all, so I'm not going to explain it, is what it means. This is what I would say when, like, if I'm writing like some Hangul on the board. 다 알 테니까 설명하지 않을게요. Like, you already know Hangul. 한글을 이미 알 테니까 다시 설명하지 않을게요. I'm sure you already know Hangul, so I'm not going to explain it again. Like that. Okay. That is really all there is to Tenika. And now, I mean, I've taught this before, but this was just kind of more of a, kind of an overview, like a reminder of how to use it. There's another form, though. Oh, and you also could use tenika yo at the end of a sentence if you want. You can say tenika or tenika yo, and it's the same thing at the end of a sentence. But then what would that look like? If you were saying like 많이 추울 테니까요. I'm sure it's going to be cold later. So is what it means. It's like, it's implying whatever comes after. Yeah, I guess it's going to be really cold later. So, is what it means. So you can also end a sentence like, that's why. For example, if you were to tell someone, be careful. And then after that, you're going to say, oh, it's because I assume it's going to be really cold. That's what you can use it at the end of a sentence for. Same thing. Same nuance. Again, yeah, I guess. Or, I'm sure. Like that. Making assumptions about the future. There's another form though. I'm going to go over it in just a second. I want to read some of your comments to make sure I'm not missing anything. You buy coffee later because I'm going to buy a meal now. Sure. Xiaomi, she uda, because it's 쉽다. It ends with a p up, so it has that irregular form. She 울 테니까 열심히 공부할 필요 없어요. Or 열심히 공부 안 해도 돼요. I don't need to study hard. Yeah. Could the final verb in a sentence have a different form? Yes, you can. I'm assuming, therefore, how about that? Yeah, totally fine. Just like a command, like, how about, since I'm going to buy lunch, how about you buy dessert? 디저트를 사주는 건 어때요? 어떨까요? How about if you were to buy dessert? You could also say it like that. Checking the sentences. Can you reverse the order? Like you go first, because I'll take care of it. Sure. Now, what would be the reason why you would reverse it? You might want to reverse it if it's like, it's a priority that you get that sentence out as fast as possible. Like, oh, 먼저 가세요. Like, hey, right now, like before the door closes, like literally the door is closing. Like when I watched Indiana Jones and like the door is coming down, you know, he's trying to rush to grab his hat. Like you tell him, go, 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 like that. And then while they're leaving, oh, I'll do it. 할 테니까요, or whatever like that. Fine. Though typically you're not going to need to reverse the order because it's like, oh, I guess I'm going to do this. So you do this. You don't do like, you do this because I guess I'm going to be doing this. Like it's less natural. It makes sense. It's grammatically okay. You can do it. It's just less natural than doing it the other way, unless there's a need to do it. That's the only need I can think of right now. There probably are other uses where you would do that. Like, I guess if you were explaining something and then suggesting something that someone should do as part of that explanation, and like it worked really good with that explanation, and then at the end you wanted to add the reason why you're suggesting that. Okay. All right. So there's another form that looks just like this one, but it has a different ending, and that is Tende. What is Tende? Well, there's a little hint. It has hey in it. Could this be related? Yes, it can. Hey, again, is 더 plus ida plus the te form. So what happens when you combine ida with the te form? You get inde, right? What happens when you combine 더 with e? If you were listening during the advanced part that I said you don't need to be listening during, you get tende. So you get tende. Woohoo! It's the same thing. It's literally just 더 plus te. So again, this is 더 plus te. 더 and de. Before we had 더 and nika, right? So like an expectation, like I assume or I guess, and I'm sure, you know, I think like that. And the last one was Tenika. So it's like, you know, I think, therefore, I am. No, before we had like, oh, I'm sure of that, right? Or I guess, therefore, or I guess it's going to be cold today. So yeah, I guess it's going to be pretty cold today. So you should wear a jacket. Now we don't have that so or therefore meaning, right? Because we're not saying, I mean, you could have so or therefore, but we're not giving a reason. We're not saying because it's going to be cold today. I guess it's going to be cold today. Because of that, you should wear a coat. We're not saying because now. We're now saying te. What is te? What is it? I'm not asking about Tende specifically, but just what is te? What is this te form? What does it do? Remember, when we break forms apart, we can see what they are. There are no tricks hiding here. As I said, it's literally just that 더 meaning, which is like expectation, like in assuming something. And now we have it with the te form. Te is for contrasting. It often translates as but. It could also translate as and. Most of the time it translates as but though, because it shows contrast. te is pretty much like putting something, like the first part of the sentence goes on one hand. So you're saying something, something, something te, and then something, something, something is what the other part of the sentence goes on. So it really is like that. It's like you're comparing something. Like the kimchi is 매운데, it's spicy and it's delicious. Or you can say it's spicy, but it's delicious. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you're contrasting. You're showing two halves of a sentence. So it's kind of like saying but. This, but this is what it does. So if we take that and apply it to 터 or te again, what do we get? Well, there are a few other uses of te that I think I should add as well. So te contrasts two sentences, I said. But what happens if you just put up one half of the sentence? Kimchi is spicy. If you don't add a second part of the sentence, all it does is adds contrast to what you're saying. It just points something out, like says, hey, look at this. You haven't gone up and brought up the second thing to compare it with yet, but like, let's just say you make a sentence that ends with te. You're just bringing, it's really quite like you're speaking and you're bringing it up on your hand to the person you're talking with and doing this. So that can do a lot of things. That's useful for like introducing things. Like, hey, yeah, how about this? Like you're contrasting it. Or it can also be used when you're going to explain something. That's how it's often used. 그래서 어저께 철수를 봤는데. So I saw 철수 the other day. 철수를 봤는데. And now there's going to be something coming up here, but right now there's nothing that yet. All I said is 철수를 봤는데. I saw 철수. So what it does is it's introducing information to the listener, right? Because the listener now knows, oh, you use the te form. It's like something's coming. But I don't know what it is yet, but something's coming because you put up that one hand. There's going to be something else. Like, oh, and he's with his new girlfriend, Youngie, like that. Something, we don't know, but it puts emphasis onto the first thing that you say. So it's bringing up new information and then you compare it to whatever it comes after with. So in that way, it often gets translated as but then that kind of misses the whole point of using it, like I said, because it doesn't have to be used with another sentence. You can have it at the end of a sentence. You can have it at the start of a new sentence, like I just showed you. So, te with tende has all of these same uses as te. It can be used to mean this and this, but it can also just be used to like introduce something. Like da-da-da-da-da, te. Like, hey, now I'm going to talk about it. So, in English, when we translate that, you can get a translation of like, so you see, and then whatever you were saying before, 철수를 봤는데. So I saw 철수, but you could say it, but it also kind of has the feeling of like, so you see, I saw 철수. Of course, you're going to have something else after you say, so you see, I saw 철수. You're not going to end it there, right? But it implies that you're introducing some new information to the listener. So you get that feeling with tende. It's like, hey, so you see, something's going to happen. Future tense assumption. You still have the same future tense assumption that comes from the lir, and to form. That's still there. The only difference is now the ending is not going to be like because of that. It's not giving a reason for something. Instead, you're just saying, so you see, I assume it's going to be this way, is what you're saying. So I assume something is going to happen. And then maybe you can add but at the end if you want. It depends on what you connect it with. And or but. So you see, or I guess, but like that. So I guess is what you can say. So it's useful when you're explaining something or you're introducing information, just like with the te form. And I've taught this before in the te form live stream, so you can watch that if you want to get more examples of just using te by itself. But you can translate as kind of like, yeah, I'm sure that something's going to happen, or I'm sure that something will do something, just like before. But now it has an ending of like, but, or and. It has that feeling that something's been introduced. So you can say like, oh, I'm sure that something, or it's supposed to do this, but like this. Or as we also thought, I think it will do this. I think I'll do this. I think they'll be there. I think they'll like it, but is what it means. Again, I'm just telling you all this to let you know it's literally the exact same thing as what we just did, but with a different ending. So instead of unika we had, which connected to like, oh, I guess this is going to happen. Therefore, remember, because of what I'm saying, because I assume this will happen, be careful. Wear a coat. We should go this way. You go first. You go that way. I go home. We have all these things from the unika form that do that. Now we have a different version. Same thing. I guess this is going to happen. But now instead of saying, because I think of this is going to happen, you should wear a coat. We're not saying that now. We're saying, we're not saying because now we're saying, I think that something's going to happen, but I think something's going to happen, you see? Like that. That's a different sentence is going to follow. So let me give you an example of what we can do with this. If this feels a little too easy, it's because I'm trying to kind of go back and give extra context to using the te form. If you already know the te form, I apologize. This probably feels like review. So that's kind of for people who aren't too familiar with using it. Okay, let me see. Okay, so for example, I have some more sentences from my Sentences Made Simple course, the sentence connector course that I released earlier this year. The test, it's going to be a bit, so actually let me phrase it this way. This sentence is not complete, but I'm going to start it like this. 좀, a little bit. 힘들다, to be difficult. So 힘들 텐데. So it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's going to be a little hard. So it's going to be a little bit hard. We're not saying because it will be a little bit hard, you better study. We're not saying that, right? We're saying, so I think it's going to be a little hard. I'm sure it's going to be hard. Or I guess it's going to be a little hard. This introduces information to the listener. So they're like, well, okay, and, or, but is what they're wondering. They're not thinking about a reason. You're not going to justify because I think it will be hard. Again, we're saying simply, I think it's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be a bit hard. What could come after that sentence in English? Think about it in English. Yeah, I guess it's going to be a little bit difficult. What could possibly come after that? We're not saying because it's going to be a bit difficult. We're just saying it's going to be a bit difficult with a te form. So it's going to be a bit difficult. What could you put after that? Now, I have an example I'll give you in a second, and I'm not going to make fun of you if you give me a wrong answer. I mean, I'll laugh internally, but I won't do it on camera is what I'm saying. But I'm curious, what might you think could come after this? Nice. Yeah, give me some examples. So give me something you can say like, yeah, I guess it's going to be a bit difficult, but I guess it's going to be a bit difficult, but, or I guess it's going to be a bit difficult. So like, what would you put there? Again, you're not saying because I think it's going to be difficult, you better do this because it's going to be difficult. Let's study tonight for 5 hours. You're not saying because I think, you're just saying I think. So I think it's going to be a bit difficult, but we have that te form. I'm trying to kind of separate them because although they have the same start, they have different uses. The first one is used for connecting like the reason, because I think, because I guess, because it is. Now this one's not because, it's simply it is, like that. Yeah. It's going to be a bit difficult, but okay, I just want to see what you're going to say. Okay. 좀 힘들 텐데 괜찮을 거예요. Okay. I mean, there are a lot of things you could say, right? Just like, it's going to be a bit difficult, but like what you could say a bunch of things in that situation too. 좀 힘들 텐데 괜찮겠어요? It's going to be a bit difficult. I guess it's going to be a little hard, but 괜찮겠어요? Will you be okay? Again, it's not saying 좀 힘들 테니까. Because I think it's going to be a bit difficult, will you be okay? Doesn't make any sense, right? If you think about it. Because I assume it will be difficult, will you be okay? Doesn't make any sense, right? So you could not use tenika in this sentence. Oh, I want you to think about that. I just want you to understand that. And hopefully that kind of makes sense. You're like, because I assume it will be difficult, will it be okay? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, of course. All you're saying is, it's going to be a little bit difficult. And now something has to come after that. Something has to contrast. So it's going to be, it's a bit difficult, but are you okay? It's going to be a bit difficult, I guess, I assume. Are you going to be okay? That's the kind of thing you can say with this. As long as you know what it, like how it, what the nuance is, what it literally means, you should be able to make sentences that make sense and don't sound really awkward. Like, to make sure you're not using tenika when you should be using tende. Because again, tende is not the same as, you're not saying because, you're just saying, but, like that. 좀 힘들 텐데 괜찮겠어요? That's going to be a bit hard. Are you okay? Like that. I should make a note, not related to the lesson, but 힘들다 and 어렵다 both mean to be hard or difficult. 어렵다 is like mentally difficult, like challenging, that sort of difficult, and 힘들다 is like physically difficult. So you could say a test is physically difficult or mentally difficult, or it's both, like it's stressful and everything, but 힘들다 would be used more for like having a hard time to do something. And 어렵다 is more like it's actually the skill level is high. But yeah, sometimes they have some overlap. That's why sometimes when Koreans are really tired after work, you'll hear them say, 너무 힘들어. 힘들어. 힘들다. They're not saying, oh, it is so difficult. They're not really saying that. They're saying, oh man, I'm having a really rough time. It's a really hard day, is what they're saying. They're not saying, I am very difficult. Like, don't hang around me. I'm a difficult person. That's not what they're saying. They're just saying, oh, I had a hard day. I need to get more markers. I think I'm going to have that on my Christmas present. A new pack of markers. The ones that are refillable. I think I'll get those ones with plenty of ink. Okay. 이따 is a little bit later. This is not 나중에. 나중에 means like another day later, like later in the future. Later, not today. 이따 means today, in a little bit later. 이따 가면. So if we go later, if we go a little bit later, 늦다, to be late. So 늦을 텐데. If we go a bit later, we're going to be late. 지금 나가요. Let's go now. You're not saying, because I guess if we go a little bit later, we're going to be late. Therefore, let's go now. You're not necessarily saying that. You're not saying, because I think if we leave a little bit later, we'll be late. We'll go now. But it's saying, we're going to be late if we go a little later. Let's go now is kind of what you're saying. Again, it's like it has the contrast between the sentences. Like, yeah, if we leave later, we're going to be late. So let's go now is what you're saying. Again, not because I think, you're simply saying we will be, but, and let's leave now. Like that. I think this marker is also dying. I think we can get rid of this one too. Didn't go in the trash. There we go. Okay. 이따가 봐요. Yeah, you could say that. Or 이따 봐요 is a little more common. So, 같이, together. 같이 가다, to go together. 같이 가면 좋을 텐데. So 면 좋다 means if it is, or if someone does something, 좋다, it's good, is what you're saying. So if we go together, it would be good, is what you're saying, literally. But that's how you say should. One of the ways to say we should. Oh, it would be good if we went together. Meaning, oh, we should go together. It'd be good if we went together. We should go together, but 아쉽다 is something that's too bad, like you missed an opportunity. That's sort of too bad. 아쉽다. 아쉽네요. 같이 가면 좋을 텐데. It would be nice if we went together. But 아쉽다. 아쉽네요. It's too bad. 같이 가면 좋을 텐데. 아쉽네요. It would be good if we went together. It would be nice if we went together. But it's too bad we can't. 같이 가면 좋을 텐데. 아쉽네요. Like that. 같이 가면 좋을 텐데. 아쉽네요. Again, just up to here. 같이 가면 좋을 텐데. You could say this all by itself. 같이 가면 좋을 텐데. It would be good if we could go together. And it implies there's some contrast. Like, the listener will know what you mean. Just the same as if you're using the te form. You also can just leave a sentence hanging, ending with the te form, because it's like that. It's like you're introducing something. You're like, it'd be nice if we went together. Is what it implies. It's like, hey, I'm saying something. I did not end it. You know I didn't friggin' end it, but you can read my lips. You know what I'm implying, is what that te form, even just the regular te form. Tende as well has it, but it's the same thing. The regular te form has this too. Like, look at this. Like, if someone says, how's the food? 엄청 맛있는데요? It's so good! Is what you're saying. You didn't end the sentence. But that's how the te form can also be used for, like, exclamation, because you're not finishing what you started. You're like, is something else coming? You know, there's something else. It, like, makes everyone, like, look at it. Look at what you did right here. And it leaves you hanging. So the listener will be able to imply what you mean. So, yeah. 같이 가면 좋을 텐데. It'd be so good if we could go together. Wish we could go together, but we can't. And then you finish the sentence. 아쉽네요. Okay, there's the ending. It's like if you're playing the piano and you do like do 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 do, and then you stop for a second and then do it again. Do 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 do, and then like the third time you do it, do 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 do, the guy behind you or whoever behind you is gonna like race and do ding on the piano just because it pisses them off so much. It's like that's like the te form. Like it brings it up. You know what's coming after. You can guess kind of what they're talking about, but it really leaves the listener hanging. And that's also really annoying. You can do that to someone who likes playing the piano. Really way to tick anyone off who plays piano. Okay. Hey, Gray. Thank you. I'm going to put you up here on my sponsor list. Gray is our sponsor today. Everyone, thank Gray in the comments. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that's what the te form does. And the te form has more uses than just saying, like, and just saying but. I feel like when you first learn Korean, the first time you just learn it's kind of like showing contrast, it means but really it's more to it. It does mean but the reason is because it's like bringing something up to the center of the conversation. It's like, bah, 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 bah. Like, look at this. You want to say anything about that? Like, I might say something else. I might not, but here's some information. Take it or leave it. It's like that sort of meaning. Like everyone is going to be listening to that. So, okay. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Everyone is saying thanks to Gray. Yes. Okay. One more sentence for this. I ran out of space here. I'll do it again. Make it a little nicer. Okay. 바쁘다, to be busy. So 바쁠 텐데. So 이미 is already. 이미 바쁠 텐데. So I'm sure you're already busy. I'm sure you're already going to be busy. 이미 바쁠 텐데. I'm sure you're already going to be busy. What's coming up? What are we going to say here? Oh yeah, you must already be busy. So 무리하다 is to overdo it. Like to go overboard, to do something too much. Like work too hard. Overdoing it. 무리하지 마세요. So don't overdo it. I'm sure you're already busy, so don't overdo it. I'm sure you're already busy. Don't overdo it, is what you're saying. Now, the way you want to connect those sentences could be, but I'm sure you're already busy, but don't overdo it. Okay, I'm sure you're already busy and don't overdo it. Meh, I'm sure you're already busy, so don't overdo it. Maybe so works really good. It's hard to translate te because, like I said, this is what it does. So how do you translate this connecting between two sentences? Most of the time it's going to be but because you're contrasting them, but it doesn't have to be contrasting. It can be like first and then and this one. So it can be like so in some cases, like in this sentence. 이미 바쁠 텐데 무리하지 마세요. So I'm sure you're already really busy. Don't overdo it. I mean, you don't have to translate it as anything. You can just leave it blank. I'm sure you're already busy. I'm sure you're going to be busy like that. Don't overdo it. It's also fine. You don't need to say anything. Yeah. So, but therefore, I wouldn't say therefore because therefore implies like because of that. But I mean, it's not real. If you want to say that, sure. You can translate however you want. So yeah. Another usage of te. Can you replace the tenika? So if we were to replace this with tenika, what do we get? Because I assume you're going to be really busy, don't overdo it. Now it sounds more like you're just giving the suggestion to them not to overdo it because I think that you're going to be so busy. Yeah, I think you're going to be really busy, so that's why you shouldn't overdo it. It has a different meaning. Right? It now sounds like you're telling him not to overdo it because of your concerns. Like, oh man, I'm sure you're going to be really, you shouldn't overdo it. You can look at it backward if that helps. Don't overdo it because I think you're going to be already really too busy. Okay. So like, do me a favor. I know you're going to be really busy, so don't overdo it. Is kind of what you're saying. Like my thoughts, I'm making an assumption that you're going to be really busy, so don't overdo it. 이미 많이 바쁠 테니까 무리하지 마세요. Like, I think you're going to be too busy, so therefore don't overdo it. Kind of works. But what you're saying is more like, because I'm sure you're already busy, like, yeah, I'm sure you're already really busy, don't overdo it, is what you're saying. It's more like it shows concern, like, oh, I'm sure you must be busy. I'm assuming you're going to be busy now. Don't overdo it. Versus, I'm going to be, just letting you know, I'm sure that you're going to be really busy. So don't overdo it. One of them is a little more natural than the other. You'll pick which one you want to use, though, based on the context, based on what it is you want to say. Are you trying to tell someone that they should or shouldn't do something, or that you want to do something, or that you're going to do something because you're assuming something? Or are you simply saying, I assume something? Like, which one would you want to pick? Sometimes there are actually a lot of sentences you can use either. They have different nuances, but it's not like it's wrong. It's just you want that nuance of like, because of what I'm assuming. Or just, I'm assuming this, but like, I'm assuming this, like that. Yeah, a pause. NBix gives a good point. Like, a pause can also be kind of like the Tende. So it's like, yeah, I assume you're going to be really busy. Don't overdo it. But you wouldn't do a pause with the other ones. Like, hey, it's going to be really cold. Be careful. It's not what you're saying. You're saying it's going to be careful. It's going to be cold. So be careful is what you're saying with the other example. Like, 추울 테니까 조심하세요. You're saying it's going to be cold. So because it's going to be cold, be careful is what you're saying. This time you're not really saying because you're going to be busy, don't overdo it. right? The reason that you're not supposed to overdo it isn't because you're already busy, but it's like you're already busy. And on top of that, hey, don't overdo it is kind of what you're saying. This is a bit of a nuanced difference that's difficult to explain because of this, but it really is that kind of feeling of like, could you add in a 5-second pause between the sentences and would it still sound natural? And if you can, probably the te form will work good because like it already separates the sentence. Whereas the unika form is more of like, because of this that I'm saying, therefore do this. So try that. That might help if you get confused with which one to use. There's one more thing. So the te form, I said that like all of these things I'm talking about the te form apply to the regular te form. This is not like a Tende lesson. This is a every te form does this lesson. So that whole thing is te form. That's not Tende, just it's anytime you see te in any grammar form, there are others that use te as well. So the Tende form, because of that, is also used a lot when you're pointing out someone's bad idea. So if someone has a bad idea, what might you say? Like, say they're going to eat, say you're with your friend at the pizza parlor and they open up the bottle of Tabasco sauce at the table and they pour it into a shot glass, right? They have the shot glass filled with Tabasco and they're like, should I do it? Will you give me $1? That's a bad idea. I mean, you might say, yo, dude, bro, I'll give you $5. You do that. But let's just say you're a good person. You're not going to encourage that kind of bad behavior. Dude, that's going to be spicy. You're dumb. That's going to be really spicy. I think you're going to go to the hospital. Dude, look at the clouds outside. So you walk outside later. There's like tons of clouds and you see your friend walking out with a t-shirt. Dude, I think it's going to rain. So the te form is used a lot for calling out dumb ideas or to say let's just say it in a nicer way. To disagree to disagree with a suggestion or idea. You are humbly disagreeing with someone by saying, I'm guessing this is going to happen. So what's your response to that? Now that I brought it out, like this here, what's your response is what the te form can do. So the Tende form is really good for that too. Like, hey, if your friend's about to down a shot of Tabasco sauce, you can tell him, 좀 매울 텐데. That's going to be a bit spicy. I'm assuming that's going to be spicy. You don't need to end the sentence. You don't need to say, 괜찮겠어요? You don't need to say that. You already conveyed what you wanted to say with that part. It's going to be a bit spicy. Like, obviously, if I have this part of the sentence held up, just like with that piano example I gave you, the listener is going to be expecting something else to go there. And if there isn't anything else that goes there, they'll fill it in for themselves. So they know, like, the ending is going to be like, you're a freaking idiot if you do that. But you don't need to say that. You just need to say, 좀 매울 텐데. And that implies, 그거 먹으면 진짜, like, that implies what you're saying. 매울 텐데? It's going to be spicy. Or like your friend walking outside with a t-shirt and you see like all these dark clouds and you hear thunder in the distance and all your smartphone gets a alert that says it's going to be like heavy rain tonight. Because again, the Tende form is just like saying future tense, but with the added meaning of it's an assumption. Like, I guess, I'm sure it's going to rain. Yeah, I guess it's going to rain. I assume it's going to rain. 비가 올 텐데, I'm assuming it's going to rain is literally what you're saying, but more naturally, it's like, it's going to rain, bro. 비가 올 텐데. Again, you didn't finish the sentence. You're like, it's going to rain. It's going to rain. So they know you're implying, like, you sure? You could make a different sentence. You can say, 비가 올 테니까 우산도 챙겨가세요. Like, 우산도 챙겨가. Like, bring your umbrella because it's going to rain. But that's a different meaning. That's because I think it's going to rain. So, therefore, because I think it's going to rain, you should bring an umbrella, is what you're saying if you use Tenika. But you can just say it with tende, like, it's going to rain. And that implies that there's something else missing there that's the listener can assume. So there are so many uses of tende, but all of them are just because of the regular te form that has all those uses built in already. The te form already has this. 매운데? 엄청 매운데? Like someone, maybe your friend is explaining to you the story of how he took 3 shots of Tabasco sauce and then passed out. And you're like, what? 진짜 매운데? That's so, no, this isn't tende. You're just using the regular te form. That's crazy spicy. Like, it implies they're going to have to fill in the blank. Yeah, but I was okay. Like, or, 괜찮았어? 진짜 매운데 괜찮았어? Like, that's so spicy. Are you okay? But it's like putting up this half of the sentence and it implies whatever the other half is just by doing that. So again, you get the same thing, but now with tende instead of just te, you get the future version of that. Instead of saying it is spicy, it is raining, you're saying it will, I think. It will, I think. That will be, I think. I guess, like that. Okay, I have explained my heart out for this episode. Although I know it's not a regular class. I didn't make a regular outline for today. There's no worksheet that you can download. The only outline is here, which will go in my trash can as soon as this is done. You'll never see this, but mostly just because I reused some sentences from my sentence course because I wrote this early this morning, so I didn't have time to prepare a worksheet. But yeah, that is Tende and Tenika. Now, there is a little bit more you could do with it. There's like another form like, oh, if I hadn't done this, then it wouldn't have not had done it that yesterday. Like there's another form you can do like 만약 그랬으면은 없었을 텐데. Like there's an if it hadn't had, then it would be form you can use with it. But that's really all the form is at its core. It's just a, I assume it will. So, and that's the lesson. I'm going to stick around though. I think it's good time now for some questions. So I'll hang out for like 20 minutes until I get really thirsty. Nika in the day form. Nika in the day form. Why does it remind you of like Benny and the Jets? Yeah, I think that would be good for like maybe like a classic rock, like a revival band. The Nika and the day form. John Z asks, oh, hey, John Z, is there a gap between the verb and tende? Yeah, tende and tenika. There would be a gap. Just like koshida, the future tense. So instead of saying like 할 거예요, there would be a gap with 할 and ko. There's a gap between 할 and te, or tenika or tende. But most people just connect it if you see. I mean, if it doesn't really matter, but yeah, officially there would be a gap. Off topic, but why is the background different? Because today is not a class day, so I didn't have time to pull down my backdrop and turn on the lights. And yeah, just that's pretty much it. I only had a short amount of time. I had like less than 2 hours to prepare the lesson. So instead of spending like an extra 15 minutes setting up the lights, I'm like, I'll just spend the extra time doing this. Get off my back is what I mean. All the way off. It's just what you're seeing in the background is some of the sound panels that I made myself. I think I did these like right before COVID, I think. Yeah. I made 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full-size professional sound panels. And they're all over my room. So that way I get good sound here. Gets rid of most of the echoes. But yeah, you can see them on the back wall there. When should you use kwa, wa, or irang and lang? So they have the same meaning as far as like with, but kwa and wa, there are a few reasons you'd use it. The most simple reason is kwa and wa are the most formal ones. So if you're speaking politely or formally, you want to use kwa and wa. Irang and lang are more conversational sounding, not necessarily casual, but they don't have a formal feel to them. Now, there's another reason you might use one or the over the other. If you're repeating irang, 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 irang with multiple things in a sentence, it's common that people will switch and use one of the other forms. Like you might use wa and kwa in one part and then irang in the other part, even if you're speaking not formally, just because it kind of makes it sound like it's not repetitive. But the simplest reason is really just if you're speaking politely and formally, use wa and kwa. If you're speaking casually or informally, then use irang and lang. Congrats on launching the podcast. Thank you. Hopefully you've seen the podcast. I launched a brand new podcast. And the next episode, you can actually listen to it right now on Patreon, but the next episode video will go live on my channel this week on Thursday. Tomorrow, there also will be the second episode of my Monster X analysis series, which I had fun doing. Minyak is the second one. Yes. And the podcast, I'm still figuring out exactly what we're going to be doing with it. Like, what sorts of segments do you like the most? What sorts of segments should I add to or shrink? I'm still thinking about that sort of stuff, but I am pretty happy so far with how it's going. And I'm already working on, I think episode 4 is what I'm starting to write right now. As of today, I'm actually writing the 4th episode already, although I won't be filming it for a few more weeks. What have you learned so far doing the podcasts? I have learned that Vegas 2021 is entirely insufficient for editing this podcast because of my file formats. So I had to purchase an upgrade to my editing software. In the meantime, so that was $100 expense just to get that working, but it's okay because we funded the podcast. I got a total, we raised like $4,200 or something like that for the podcast. I've spent at least that, maybe a little bit over, but it's still okay. And I'm also trying to eventually switch over to use another program called DaVinci Resolve, which should be a little bit better for editing the podcast. But in the meantime, that's the biggest thing I learned is just that, wow, Vegas does not like actual like high quality video files. It was like coughing. It crashed my computer. I was saving the first episode of the podcast and my entire computer died. I kid you not. It killed my computer because the GPU overheated. No, the CPU, sorry. The GPU did not overheat. The CPU overheated and my computer shut down. So I'm like, well, that's great. So I had to take the whole thing apart, repaste the CPU, which was fun because I have a mini case. The computer case is this big. It's one of those really compact computer cases I got. I thought it would be cool if I got it portable. It's not cool. So I had to take out everything to get to the motherboard. Anyway, it's Kai, okay? Thank you, Kai. Marker fund. Kai. We're going to put a little marker here. Yeah, I got to get some more markers. I have plenty of these. Funnily enough, this purple marker has been like the best marker because these will last like over an entire year. I've been using this same one at least probably for a year now. These ones last about 2 or 3 weeks, I found. I don't use them too much. And then these ones last about a couple months. So it's kind of hit or miss with some of the brands. Thank you, Kai. I've heard good things about DaVinci. Yeah, me too. Billy, are you a good liar? Not really. I try to get better at like acting, but it's hard to not smile sometimes if I'm saying something that's fake. I'll be like, "Ugh." So I don't think I'm a great liar. DaVinci Resolve's very CPU heavy. Yeah, I can run it on my laptop, which is okay. I got a laptop in 2020. Originally, I bought it half for work and half so I could play Cyberpunk 2077. That was not a well-launched game. It had so many issues, but I ended up not using it for gaming at all in the end, except for, about a few days of Cyberpunk 2077. And anyway, it's really good for editing. It's more powerful than my desktop machine. It's just a small monitor, and I need my mouse I use for that is also broken. The scroll wheel doesn't work. So anyway, but that's what I edit the podcast on. So I edited all the episodes so far on the little laptop I have, and I'll also be editing them in the future on the laptop since I had to get the new editing software. But anyway, hopefully I'll be able to move to DaVinci Resolve next year. I'm planning on saving up to buy a whole new computer, which I'm not looking forward to actually, because my computer is now going to be 10 years old from next year. And when I built it, it wasn't really that powerful anyway. So I need to get something like really powerful for editing, because the podcast is a different video format and a different video bit rate than all the other videos I put on this channel ever. One podcast episode was over 200 gigabytes in storage. I kid you not. So because of that, the editing program I was using is having just a hard time dealing with the files. The files, they're like high bit rate. They're called LUT files. It's like where the color looks all faded. That way I can do color grading. That's why if you notice the color grading, I think it looks okay because I spent time on that. And the computer has a harder time dealing with that sort of footage. So it's like log and LUT. Well, not LUT. LUT's what I add on top of the video. It's log footage, to be correct. 422 log with LUTs. And it'll be like 3 video tracks on top of each other. So it's a ton of stuff. My computer's like understandably having a hard time from my computer from 2016. So yeah, I'll have to do that next year. I'm not looking forward to the bill. RAM prices right now are crazy. They doubled in the past like month due to all like, I'm guessing it's the AI data centers that are like gobbling up all the RAM right now. So the prices are going crazy. But I mean, I'll just have to do it because I need a new computer. I need to be editing the podcast. I don't have I can't spend like a week to edit each episode. Like so far, each one's taking like over a week just to edit because my computer just can't handle it. So I need to speed that up. And the only way to do that is get a new computer. But yeah, so I'm predicting it's going to be somewhere around the $3,000 range just for the computer, no peripherals, no new mouse or keyboard or anything, no monitors, just the computer. Probably going to be somewhere around there. But I mean, I have to do it. Maybe I'll have to, I don't want to, and I certainly won't for the first like dozen episodes, but I might eventually have to take sponsors for the podcast, but we'll see. I prefer not. So in the meantime, though, that's why I keep mentioning the Patreon page during the podcast. I think I mentioned it like 3 times during the podcast because I'm like, please join my Patreon page so I can afford to buy the things I need to buy for the podcast you're watching, but. Cosma says, I hope Kai is doing well after not succeeding in getting you to use Adobe. It's okay. Kai did their best. Can hanbon have a meaning like man that is sure? 식당 인심 한번 고약하네. No, hanbon doesn't mean man that sure is. Okay, I'm going to check here. I think you get a twinkle in your eye when you're BSing. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I haven't noticed that when I might be like looking off in the distance and saying something because secretly I'm like laughing in my head. I like how the mic sounds. Would it be impossible to use it for the lives too? It's not impossible, but this microphone I have right here is not even the best microphone for a live. It's good if I'm standing right here and talking into it, but as soon as I turn away, it's not that great. The microphone, though, I use for the podcast is even more so. It's designed to like eat the microphone. You're supposed to put your mouth like directly up against the microphone for the podcast. And that's what I can do. In which case it's like the #1 microphone for that in the entire world, with the exception of like some Neumann microphones. But anyway, it's really good. But yeah, it's not as good when you go farther away from it. So I don't want to use that for the live stream, or else I'd always have to be like talking like this when I'm doing the lives, everyone. I wouldn't be able to turn around. And if I turn around, it would sound like, and then I turn around and you wouldn't hear anything. So I have to use this one for the live stream, but I did think about it. Adobe as a sponsor, set me free. Yeah. I mean, I might have to because it depends. Like I said, I'm doing at least the first 6 episodes have no external sponsors in them. It's only just me plugging my book and saying, join my Patreon to get this without ads. But I don't know, maybe later I'll have to add something, but even if I did, it wouldn't be like today's episode is sponsored by, and then, like everything is like about that in the episode. It's not going to do like devoted episodes. It would really just be like a segment. You should expose how AI lies about Korean. Yeah, this morning I actually wrote that as an idea for a podcast episode, so you'll probably see it. But I got to research it a little bit more. I don't want to just wing it. That's a very important episode. I noticed so much terrible AI made content for Korean, like books. I kid you not, books that are completely designed, like images and everything, the text and everything, completely designed by AI. So much that what they did is they went to an AI image generator and they said, Korean book page about common fruits. And then the AI would generate a picture, like a drawing of a page of a book about like fruit, for example. And you'd see like pretty pictures of fruit, and it would say like sagwa, orenji next to it. And then it would be like garbled. It would show like a picture of like a giraffe head on top of like a lime, because like it doesn't know what it is. And it would say like, it would like make up some fruit name, or it would make up Hangul letters that are like English letters jammed in. But if you don't look close, it looks really well made. Like if you see the preview for the book, oh, it looks really pretty and well designed. Because yeah, AI did it. But then when you look a little bit closer, it makes no sense. And they're selling like whole books of this stuff. I even know a Korean teacher, I will not call them out. I'm not close with them, but I did see on Instagram a Korean teacher that published an ad for their book, and I could tell that the cover was AI generated, but I was like, it looks AI generated, but I can't prove it until I looked closely at the spine, and the spine had garbled letters on it. It's everywhere. Like, be careful out there, everyone. And some of it's really funny. So I think it would be fun to do like reaction where I see some AI generated Korean learning materials and react to it. If they're not going to sue me for doing that. But yeah, it's some bad stuff out there. Just be careful. If you see something that has like beautiful design, like it looks really, really well designed, ask them who their artist is. Or better yet, you don't even need to bug them. Just go to their webpage, see the sample where you can view inside the book, and they're going to have a credit for the the artist. If they do not have a credit for the artist, they are doing it with AI. I have art in my books. All my books I've commissioned, I paid lots of money in some cases to get actual artists, Korean artists, to draw. So like my Korean Made Simple books, they have like nice art on the cover, and then I credit the artist in the first page, or sometimes books will do it at the last page. Check that. If there's no credit for the artist, it means they outsourced that probably to AI. So yeah. You'll see sometimes though, if they do it really simply, you won't be able to notice right away. But if there's no artist credit, it's done with AI. I guarantee it. Yeah. And the thing is, like, yeah, AI is not smart. Like it has its uses. Like I can use AI to ask for example, for my upcoming podcast, which I do not write with AI. I don't use any AI for making it, to be clear. But I could ask AI, hey, I want to make an episode for the episode I just did was about Korean snacks, for example. I want to make an episode about Korean snack trends that failed. Can you suggest to me 5 Korean snack trends that failed? Actually, let me do that right now. Let's see what it'll say. I can't even type sideways. Okay, I want to make a Korean podcast episode about Korean snack trends that have failed. Can you give me a list of just 5 of these? Okay, I just asked that. Apologies for anyone who just hates me using it in the first place, but okay, I asked it that. I want to make a Korean podcast episode about Korean snack trends that have failed. Again, I just did this episode. I did not use ChatGPT to make it. Can you give me a list of just 5 of these? So let's see what it does. Okay, it gave me a list. It wrote it in Korean for some reason, but that's okay. I didn't talk to it in Korean. Okay, it says number 1, honey butter, which is correct. I actually talked about honey butter chips specifically. I guess the whole honey butter, the craze of like honey butter flavored stuff is true. Honey butter chips were like, I was trying to get them when I was in Korea when they came out because they were just so crazy popular. You could not find them anywhere. But that's correct. There was this type of chip that was basically like Pringles quality, honey butter flavored chips. They weren't really that great even, but they were crazy popular because celebrities were eating them and putting them on their feeds. So everyone's like trying to get it. Number 2, it says 초코파이 딸기 메론. That's not true. 한정판 series. So like that's a limited edition series is 한정판. 초코파이 딸기 메론. That was not a trend. Now, choco pie does have other flavors. Choco pie is we would know them as moon pies in the US because literally they are moon pies in the US, imported to Korea, made into a different company. I think the Korean ones are higher quality usually. That wasn't a food trend though. That was just a flavor of choco pie. Choco pie have been popular forever. So I don't think I'd classify that as a food trend any more than I would classify like, what is it? Honey Nut Cheerios as releasing a strawberry flavor. Like, is that a trend? No, it's just they have a popular food item has a new flavor. Anyway, okay, next. So that's wrong. 콜라 사이다 맛 젤리 스낵 boom. No. So that's snack boom with flavors of cola and 사이다. That would be like 7-Up or 7-Up or Pepsi flavored snacks. No, there is no such trend like that. This never existed. This says 탐삼음료 맛을 젤리로 한 거. No, this is fake. This completely made it up. There's no such thing. There are snacks that have flavor of cola or like 7-Up and stuff in them, like jelly and stuff like that. This is not a new trend. They've literally existed since the first time I went to Korea. It's just a flavor of snack. Like you can probably go find Coke flavored gummies, right? They have them in the Haribo. If you buy the Haribo, the multi-pack, right? They got Coke flavor in there. That's not a trend. Next, so wrong. 고추장 된장전 전통 바이오맛 snack. Not true. Those snacks are new, but they weren't a trend. But there is 고추장 snacks. Snacks that will have 된장 or gochujang, specifically gochujang. I've seen those sometimes. Like snacks that have gochu flavor. Not a trend, not new. They've existed forever. At least from, 20 or so years ago. Okay, I'm not even going to continue with this because I see number 5 is also made up too. The only one on there that actually is a trend is the first one. But if you went on this list and you're someone who didn't know about Korea much and you're like, I want to do a podcast about Korea. And you said this, you're just spreading fake information. Like the useful thing though, what I could do with ChatGPT is if I'm preparing a podcast episode about trendy snacks, like I already did, but if I was preparing one, I could then, after I've written it, I could go on ChatGPT and say, hey, give me the top 10 Korean snack trends that failed. And it would tell me like 9 that are fake. And then it would tell me the first one. Oh, honey butter. I'm like, and then I would be like, oh, you're right. I forgot to include honey butter. That one is really good. And then I get that little bit, that final touch that I needed to make it perfect. I totally didn't realize I was missing that. Like that's how the AI can be useful if you can vet it, because I know what the trends are. So I can check, is that making it up? Or if I don't know that, I can quickly Google it or I can search on Naver. So it's just giving you stuff. And like I said, don't trust it. This was one quick check. If there's anything else you want me to ever check with AI, feel free. I'll happily trash it. I like it as a tool, but I don't like it overall just because of how it gets misused. It already scanned your video. Yeah, no, it does. Probably not. I mean, it's possible the new version will have an updated list that includes the snacks I talked about in my latest podcast video. Sure. But then still, the problem is then someone else says, oh, well, now it's got it. So now I want to make a video about Korean snack trends that failed. And now your new video is going to be exactly what mine already did because I already talked about them. But it's going to make up facts that it doesn't know. Like you're going to say, oh, when was that snack created? And it'll just make up a date because it has no idea. Cosmo says, I use it for work for programming. Yeah. Sometimes it gives me a small idea and it ends up being useful. That's the best usage of AI is like, if I want video ideas, I'll say, hey, actually, YouTube has a tool built into it now that we have access to as creators, where it's an AI tool that has access to all of our library and it can give us suggestions. And I tried it out. I'm like, what would be a cool video idea I should make using my content? I can't remember what it told me though, but it wasn't good. It didn't make any sense. But if I were to use that tool like 10 times, maybe if I manually check that list it gives me, those 10 items, maybe one of them could be a cool idea. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that. Now, obviously I wouldn't follow what it did, but it could still be a cool idea. Now give me 5 years, because I can't, there's something I really want to say about AI. Filming a video where someone used an AI script. I can't talk about it right now. It's not for my channel, for someone else's channel. Ask me if you remember in 5 years, Billy, that one time, didn't you film a video with someone who used an AI script and you told us to ask you again in 5 years? Can you tell us about that now? If you remember that. I don't want to tell it right now because I don't want to give away what it was. But yeah, you can ask me about that 5 years from now. Bad experience. People say AI hallucinates, but I think it's just confidently wrong as it scraped too many ignorant but strongly held Yeah, that's fair. Well, I mean, is the AI now better than what we had when, before ChatGPT and everyone was talking about AI, you know what it was? It was Bing, right? If you had special access to Bing AI, because most people didn't have access to ChatGPT. I remember getting it early access from a friend who invited me, but it was like a special thing and it limited what you can do really heavily. But Bing was open. You can apply for Bing as long as you had a Microsoft account. You can get access to Bing right away. And that was the early, like, easily accessible AI. And I used Bing right away. The first thing I'm like, because Tom Scott on YouTube, he used to do YouTube videos. He made a video talking about AI and how he used it to get video ideas. And I'm thinking, cool. I mean, I already have like hundreds of video ideas in a notepad, but more is always good. So I asked Bing. I remember asking Bing, like, hey, can you give me some video ideas? I do YouTube, blah, 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 and teach Korean. It gave me all these weird video ideas. But I'm like, one of these is kind of cool. So I wrote it down. I don't think I ever filmed it. But at that time, though, Bing, I remember, would be like really emotional. Does anyone remember that? Like if you said thank you, it would be like, oh, you're welcome anytime. And then if you were to keep complimenting it, like if you were to say, oh, you're the best, it would be like, you're the best too, thank you. And if you were to be like, oh, I love you, Bing, be like, oh my goodness, no one's ever told me this before. I can't believe it. I love you too. Wow, this is the first time it's ever happened to me. Like it got really emotional about stuff. Does anyone remember that happening where Bing would like, if you made it mad, it would start swearing at you and it would like block you. Like it would immediately close the conversation, or it would just start saying slurs at you and stuff. Does anyone remember like articles about that happening where Bing would just get really angry at people, especially if you called it out on being wrong? It would get really angry. That was like the first gen of the, that sort of early access AI stuff. Yeah, it would go insane. And I experienced that a little bit because I wasn't one of the people who would overly say thanks or overly try to correct it, because I had heard about that. I knew it would go crazy. So I'm like, I'll just leave it alone. But yeah, I did have one time where I was asking it a Korean question just for testing it and it got it wrong. So I'm like, that's not correct. You should update your information. And I just remember getting really mad, really kind of upset at me. It was like, no, you're actually incorrect. I'm definitely sure about this. Like it would defend itself even if it was wrong. I do remember though one time trying to make it mad at me after I heard about that. And then what they changed it to do is that as soon as it would say something mean, after it says it, it would immediately delete its comment and then end the conversation and make you start a new conversation. And then because people were still complaining about that, because you could just screenshot what it said, Microsoft changed it so that it could only go a maximum of 10 messages per conversation. Does anyone else remember that? It was limited to 10 messages per conversation. So you could say, hey, my name's Billy Go. I teach Korean on YouTube and I'm working on a new podcast. Can you please give me some ideas for a podcast organized into the most useful to the least useful and give me the top 10? Thanks. Make it as one message. You'd have to like put everything into one message because you couldn't talk with it. Otherwise, as soon as it got to 10 messages, it would just kill the conversation. So like I did that with video ideas. Like I said, I tried to get a bunch of video ideas for, oh, that's right. I was trying to use it for skit ideas, for what skits I can do at the beginning of episodes. And it would give me some and I'm like, oh, can you give me a few more? Oh, sure. Can you give me a few more? Sorry, this is the end of the conversation. And I have to open a new conversation. Hi, I'm Billy Go. I'm trying to do a YouTube video. Can you please give me some suggestions? From the very beginning, every single time, because it couldn't remember it because they didn't want it to get mad at people anymore. Yeah, that was bad. You can make Bing literally lose it, like threaten you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, AI definitely improved a lot. The user experience improved a ton. The stuff you can do with it, way better than before. But I will say something funny. So I was considering getting a ChatGPT Pro subscription, the paid subscription, for all of like an hour. There was like an hour at the beginning of this year when I was considering getting one. Why? You might ask, Billy doesn't use AI. No, I had an idea. So when I filmed my most recent course, the Korean Sentence Connectors Made Simple, the Korean Sentence Connectors course, right? I hired a Korean native speaker to record 1,400 sentences for me. 1,400 example sentences. Excuse me. So I sent them the script. Here's the sentences organized by chapter. You know, each one is like 50 sentences, some 70 sentences per chapter. It's a ton. I sent them to them. They're like, sure. They sent them back to me a few days later. 1,400 sentences. Now, I don't want to check 1,400 sentences manually before I put them in the lesson, but I normally do that. I did that with all my other courses. I would listen to everything they sent, check them, and then I would edit them into the course. But listening to 1,400 sentences and forcing my wife to do it too, because I want a second ear, would just be horrible. So I had the great idea. Hey, ChatGPT, if I send you an audio file and a transcript, can you just transcribe the audio and then verify that audio transcript with my uploaded transcript and tell me if they said it correctly or not? Doesn't that sound like a great idea? I thought, Billy, this is the best idea you've had all year. This is like January 1st. This is the best idea you've ever had. And ChatGPT, of course, is like, that's a wonderful idea. I love it. You're going to save so much time. Sure, send it to me. I'll check it. So I'm like, great. So I tested it with one chapter first. So I uploaded the chapter, the audio, and I uploaded the transcript. And it's like, and now analyzing complete. Yep, I found nothing wrong. Great job. So I'm thinking, that's incredible. I should buy it. But I thought, let's check it. Let's see. Maybe I can just do this for free. I'm limited to like 2 of these files a day. And if they're not sending them that quickly, maybe it'll work. And the next day I tried it again. And it's like, perfect. No mistakes again. So I'm like, interesting. So I decided, but I wasn't convinced it was actually working. So I asked it, tell me what you did to analyze this. And it's like, I listened to the file, just like you said, compared it with the transcript that you uploaded and verified to see if there are any inconsistencies. Would you like me to tell you about like what steps I did? It would do that whole thing. And I had a weird suspicion because of how fast it worked. Like it would do it like seconds after I uploaded the audio file. And I know ChatGPT is pretty fast, but I also know that it takes a few seconds to do a transcription on an audio file. Even if you have like transcription software that'll analyze the audio file, it still takes like a minute just to grab it into the RAM and process it, even if it's working super fast. So I was a bit suspicious that it would process it that fast. So I did a little digging and I decided, okay, I'm going to listen to these. So I went and listened to the first 2 chapters myself and checked, and I found one small mistake. Now, it wasn't a big deal because I was communicating with the person who was recording the files, and I was planning on checking them all while editing anyway. So I wasn't really worried about it, but I didn't want to check. I was seeing if I can save time checking it the first time. So anyway, I found a mistake and I asked ChatGPT, are you sure about that? Are you sure? And they're like, oh yeah. How about the one sentence where they said this? And I copied the one that they said wrong, but I didn't say where it's wrong. I just said, check this sentence. And it's like, oh yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, are you sure about that? Because I found a mistake. Can you listen to it again? And then it finally told me, actually, I'm not capable of listening to this. All I can do is transcribe it and then compare that transcription to your transcript. And I said, is that what you did? No, actually, that's not what I did. What I did is simply analyze the file and then compared it with your transcript. Like it's backtracking. It knows that it didn't actually analyze it or anything. So I'm like, this is not trustworthy. If I can't even trust it to do something that there are programs that will transcribe Korean mostly accurately already that don't need any of this garbage AI, the new AI stuff. They just use traditional, algorithms to do it. They're not using AI. So I can already do that. So what's the point of this fancy ChatGPT nonsense if it can't even do what I can already do with another program that already existed for several years? Like, I remember when I was in junior high school, you could get the Dragon transcription software where you speak and it transcribes your voice. That wasn't using AI. Why is ChatGPT incapable of doing something you can do with like a decade-old piece of software? I don't get it. So, yeah, that was the first and last time I ever thought about using the paid subscription to ChatGPT. Yeah, I was teasing it on purpose because I knew it didn't do it. Yeah, so careful about that. Eh, Like, yeah, anytime you see a book, I think you can judge a book by its cover. If the art looks like too good to be true, it looks like really professionally designed. But if it's not made by Talk to Me in Korean, who I know actually has professional designers, if it's not made by like a big company, but they have like professional looking design, look really close. It helps if you look at the spine also, because they might not have checked the spine. Open up the book and see like what types of sentences does it give you, because I can tell you if you ask ChatGPT to give you sentences using a grammar form, and I've tested this a lot, and you can see some examples in my YouTube channel in the posts tab. You'll see I've made fun of AI a lot there. It'll give the same sentences over and over. So you might think it's generating you a really complete, unique sentence that I can use for my book, until you realize it's just as unique as the other 100 sentences that it generated for 1,000 other people that asked it the same question. Can you give me a sentence for this form? It's going to give you the exact same type of sentences. Yeah, so just be careful with it. And the thing is, I don't think it's going to get any better at this point. And I think they know that. That's why all of a sudden, you started seeing all this, like the video generation release. That's not because they're trying to, I don't think that's because they're trying to show you how much better AI has gotten. I think that's because people are realizing that it's not that good, and they're pushing that out like, okay, here, look at how cool AI is, instead of focusing on the original promise that they were making is like, AI is going to be smarter than people. Look how fast it's approaching human intelligence, right? And then when people realize it's not, they're like, oops, look, it can make these cool videos of like, a fox driving a Chevy truck, like, SpongeBob peeling out in a parking lot. Like, it's not getting any better. So, I mean, someday people are going to kind of wake up to that and realize like, oh, it's not that good. Like it's getting it's like marginally getting a little bit better, but it's never actually getting into the intelligence level. So, okay. Yeah. If you get into the energy use, then that's a whole other discussion. It is horrible for that. I prefer CC because it's chats like an actual human being. Well, the thing is, all of the AI systems, they all work the same. So if I talk with ChatGPT, or I talk with DeepSeek, or I talk with Bing, or I talk with Gemini, or I talk with Claude, or is that the other one? Or I don't talk with Grok. Gosh. If you talk with all of them, they all have their like voice tone by default, but you can change that because they all work the same way. They're all just large language models. They all have the exact same function. It's like a bunch of flavors of the exact same cereal. They're all the same ingredients at its core. So you can just tell it, talk to me like ChatGPT, or talk to me like this AI, and they'll do it. Why not? It works the same way. From now on, I want you to speak to me as if you are this AI. You can do that. From now on, I want you to talk to me like you're a Korean teacher that I'm paying $50 an hour for, and I'm a beginning Korean learner. It'll do it. It's still stupid, but it'll do it. So yeah, I mean, there are some AIs you might prefer the experience, like, this one has different features built in, this one, but at its core, they all have they all work the same way, grabbing as much data as possible and funneling it into a chat bot, essentially. Oh yeah, recipes. Yeah. That's what I like is when it's like, oh, goodness, you're right. I apologize for telling you that. But why did you tell me that in the first place? I said verify it when I asked you. So you have to be really careful and verify everything. Yeah, yeah, Kat. Yeah, Sam. Maybe I only prefer CC because it's free. Well, I mean, ChatGPT's free too if you just don't talk to it that much. It won't require you to pay unless you want to keep doing lots of interactions. And I don't. I never have wanted to, except that one time I said I was hoping it could do the one actual robotic task that it would be perfect to do if it could do that. Would be that. Transcribe audio. We could do that. It's not future technology. Transcribe audio. And here's another transcript. Compare and contrast these two transcript files. Totally within our realm of current technology, ChatGPT cannot do it because it's not intelligence. It can't. If you want to find out something funny, ask it to play chess with you. Ask it to play chess. You're going to beat that. Like if you know like basic chess, you can beat the world's top AI program at chess. Now, you could not beat a chess engine, like the actual programs that they use for playing chess. You would never beat one of those. But ChatGPT is not a chess engine. It's a language model. It doesn't know what chess is. You could say, you sure you want to move the bishop to that spot? That's already taken by the pawn. Even if it's not. Oh, you are right. I am so sorry. In that case, like, it's the dumbest thing ever. So yeah, you probably could beat chess. I think someone did an experiment. I remember hearing someone had pit ChatGPT against battle chess. Battle chess from, what was that, the 80s or the early 90s? Does anyone else remember that game? I used to love playing battle chess on my dad's 486, which I actually still have. And anyway, battle chess can beat ChatGPT. Okay, that's enough for today. Cosmo says you got a year for free. Oh, that's good. Yeah, if it's free. That's enough for today. Thank you for joining me in my little adventure and learning about Tenika and Tende. We did a fun review of that as well as talked a lot of garbage about AI. And I'll see you next week. Sunday, we're going to have an actual lesson, I promise. Not this. Although this kind of ended up turning out to be a lesson in the end. But we'll have an outline, we'll have a worksheet, everything like that. So thanks for coming. Thank you again. Special thanks again to Gray and Kai, our sponsors today. And I'll see you again next week. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.